boss and in charge. Brother Matthew, here we go. That was an unnecessary woo. But anyway. Katherine sends in today's tale, Father Simon and the Revered Confessional Collective. Having heard recent confessions about school days, I was reminded of a guilty tale that still plays on my mind, although it happened very many years ago. To set the scene, Father Simon, I have to take you back to the innocence of the late 70s in a very small, sheltered, extremely strict, minor denominational church school somewhere in the south of England, Porridge Court. We led an innocent life. To give you an example, records with a beats per minute at a faster rate than a regular human heartbeat were considered the devil's work.
Right. Quite right.
And were banned.
Yeah.
That's the kind of school it was. I was a shy, goody-goody church elder's daughter and the only girl in our very small A-level maths class. As such, I was our maths teacher's favourite. I really did love maths with a passion and was seen by some of the boys as a bit of a maths swot and a teacher's pet. The maths teacher was Mr. Sigismund. When he got cross, he went very red in the face, which, with little else to entertain us in our innocent world, we loved to see. For some inexplicable reason, we had our maths lesson in a small room at the back of what was known as the estate hall, which was a rather grand term for a corrugated-roofed multi-purpose assembly room. The door to this classroom led directly outside and was always locked with a Yale lock, unless a class was underway, and of course, Mr. Sigismund held the key. On the afternoon in question, Sigismund had just set us an exciting maths challenge, whatever that was, and then said to us that he had left a textbook in the staff room, that old trick, and he went off to fetch it, closing the door behind him. The staff room was across the playground, into the main school building, up 2 flights of stairs and along a long corridor, so we knew he'd be gone for at least 10 minutes. Being the goody-goody I was, of course, carrying on with our set, exciting maths assignment, while the boys immediately started messing around. That is until one of them noticed that Mr. Sigismund had left the classroom key on his desk. A plan was immediately hatched by the boys to put the latch down on the Yale lock to prevent Mr. Sigismund from being able to open the door on his return, thinking that when we finally let him in, we would see another example of the red-faced Sigismund we loved. I did warn you that we lived in a very innocent world back in our school. Goody good me, of course, said, "You can't do that, it's mean." At which point the boys decided it would be even funnier if I was the one who locked him out, as he would never guess it was me. Seeing a rare opportunity to momentarily be seen as cool by the boys, I reluctantly agreed and got up from my desk and put the latch down. A few minutes later, we heard someone trying the door, and obviously we ignored it. There was then knocking on the door, and the knocking became louder and louder and louder. Then we finally heard Sigismund shouting crossly, "Open this door!" Of course, as the goody-goody of the class, I immediately went to let him in, and we were rewarded with a very, very crimson-faced, very cross maths teacher demanding to know who had locked him out. "What do you mean, sir?" we all cried. "The latch must have slipped down when you shut the door." "Don't be ridiculous," Sigismund said. "Which of you boys locked me out?" "It was Katherine, sir," they all said. "Don't be ridiculous," Sigismund shouted. "Of course Katherine wouldn't do such a thing. Now tell me, who did this, or we're going to stay here until we do?"
Oh, yeah.
"I did it, sir," I confessed in a small apologetic voice, now beginning to regret my actions, as he really was quite cross by now, and boy was he red. Mr. Sigismund looked at me and said, "Don't let the boys bully you, Katherine. Of course I know it wasn't you." The boy said, "But, sir, it was her, honestly." Sigismund continued to refuse to believe this, and so kept us all in over lunchtime, telling the boys to think carefully about what they had done. "And so," says Katherine, "I wish to ask forgiveness not from the boys for losing their lunchtime, for I did enjoy momentarily being seen as cool, but from Mr. Sigismund, the mad maths master, who never knew that goody-goody Katherine had succumbed to this moment of temptation. Father Simon and the confessional crew, I hope that you can find it in you to forgive this one lapse in an otherwise unblemished school career of being a goody-goody maths swot." Well, an inspiring tale from Katherine. Her school, Porridge Court, sounds a bit of a stinker, I think. But anyway, let's check in with Sister Holly with the voice of responsibility and the burden of responsibility on her slender shoulders.
Well, Katherine, I think the thing is, it's a classic tale of peer pressure. You were goody two-shoes. You were doing the best thing. You were doing your maths. You were working really hard. And then these horrible boys.
It's always boys.
Just roped you into doing this. And on one level, I feel like I probably should forgive. However, I think eventually you should have come clean. I know you did initially, but you should have insisted.
She said, I did it. I mean, I don't know what else
I know, but maybe, like, I don't know, a few days later or a week later, she could have said, oh, you know, by the way, actually, yeah, that was me. And just really owned up for it. And so, yeah, I think on balance, I don't forgive, but it was a classic tale of peer pressure, and she shouldn't have been a sheep, and she should have stood her ground.
She did say I did it, but I mean, I can't think what else she could have done. Brother from another gutter.
What is it to forgive? She said, yeah, I did it. I don't believe you. No, I did do it. I still don't believe you. I think a perfect crime here. I wonder whether, in fact, Katherine was playing the long game by being the goody two-shoes, because it meant that she could do whatever she wanted, admit it, and no one would ever believe her. Excellent work. I'm absolutely in your corner,
She's
Katherine.
probably a career criminal now.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. And she's going to say, yeah, no, that was me. And everyone go, no, you're far too nice. So, yes, I'm going to say forgiven.